It's time to take 10 minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein.
Welcome to our discussion of Parshat Vayechi, two nations under God. If we think of the unity of the Jewish people, we might turn to our Parsha this week. After all this family strife that took place with trying to throw Yosef in the pit, trying to sell him down to Egypt, and all that, in the end, all 12 tribes stand around Yaakov's deathbed, and they're all together, as the Midrash says. They all say, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Here, listen here, Jacob. Listen, Israel. Lord is our God. Lord is one. And he said, wow. Baruch Hashem, thank God. All my children are they're on the same page. We're all together. There's a moment at the end of the Parsha where maybe they thought that Yosef would take revenge. He says, no, far be it from me. God brought you here. Everything ends so harmoniously. So we think it's great. In the end, the Jews, one nation under God, everything's terrific. Then we notice something strange. Rav Tamir Granot pointed out, others. In the Birchot Yaakov, there are really two poles in the Birchot Yaakov, two tribes who get a lot of space, 4 or 5 verses each. And all the others, just 1 or 2 verses. Yehuda and Yosef. Yosef is Nazir Achav, he's the crown of the brothers. And Yehuda is Lo Yashur Shevim Yehuda, the throne, the scepter shall never leave Judah. So we seem to have 2 leaders. Which one is it? Is it Jacob? Is it Judah? Or is it Joseph? Yehuda, Yosef, which one is it? So then first we have to go back to that question we've dealt with in another webcast, which is, what does it mean that Lo Yasur Shevet Yehuda, that the scepter of leadership will not leave Judah? That's not true. Judah wasn't the leader when Joshua came in. He was from Ephraim. He was from Yosef. Judah wasn't any of the judges. If you look at the book of Judges, none of the judges were from Yehuda. Kalev. And the first king of Israel was Saul. He wasn't David. And then later on you had Jeroboam, you had the northern kingdom. So what do you mean the scepter will never leave Judah? So Ramban says, no. Ad ki yavo Shiloh. He says, you're right, until Shiloh, until the Mashiach, there'll never be another leader. But it starts at a certain point. There is a starting point. From the point that Judah takes leadership, namely with David, the scepter will never leave his hands. Now, it's true in the Second Temple, there was that period. The Maccabees were from the Levites. They led the Jews, and he says that was wrong. They should not have done that. The Rambam disagrees. The Rambam thinks it was great. We had a government. It was terrific. The Ramban thinks it's a sin and the reason God brought that kingdom of the Maccabees down is that they dared to take the scepter away from Judah. They were the Kohanim. It was their role to be in the temple, not to be leading. From the point that David took over, it was forbidden. So what about Jeroboam? Yeravam was told that if he would lead the Jews, if he would follow God, follow the Torah, then he would continue. How could the prophet Achiyah Shiloni have told Jeroboam first, who broke away from the tribes of the south, from Judah? How could he have told him that he was going to be king? Lo Yasur Shevim Yehuda. Jacob already declared that the scepter cannot leave Judah. How could he give him any authority? But it said locally, not forever. And the Gemara in Sanhedrin says that it's true that Yeravam could have led forever, but under David. David would be on top, he would be second. But then we have another problem. In the book of Shmuel, it says that had Saul not sinned, then Atay Echin Hashem Mamlecha Yisrael Ad Olam. Mamlecha El Yisrael. If you had followed the commandments, then God would have established your kingdom forever. That's not true. Jacob declared that the scepter will never leave Judah. So what do you mean? Saul and his children would have ruled from Benjamin forever? That's not possible. So he gives several solutions. One solution is that he would have led underneath. As I mentioned, Yeravam had the potential to lead forever, but underneath David. So too, maybe the family of Saul could have led under David, just as Yonatan had proposed. What did Yonatan say? He said, look, I will be a second in command, and you'll be the first in command. There are such things. However, the Ramban gives another theory. He says, maybe, had Saul not sinned, and I guess we could suggest this for Yeravam as well, then he would have led the tribes of his families, of his mother's family. Who are the tribes of Saul's mother's family? Rachel's children. Benjamin, his own tribe, the tribe of Saul. And theoretically, Jeroboam and his tribe of Ephraim also from Joseph, from Rachel. And he would have led Ephraim and Manasseh. So they would have, Binyamin, Ephraim and Manasseh would have a separate country. Because they're really considered two separate countries. So you would have the king of all of Israel would be from Judah, and then the king of the separate nation known as the Rachel nation from Ephraim, Manasseh, and Benjamin. They would have either Yeravam in those days, Saul in those days, Yonatan in those days. They would be in charge of their family. So this line, I wanted to emphasize that line. So the Ramban is suggesting that we think that Israel is one nation under God. And the Ramban says, no, it's really two nations. There are two nations. There's the nation of the Leah families. Judah is in charge. And there's also the nation of the Rachel families. And there, Saul could have been in charge. Yeravam could have been in charge. Yeshua is in charge at some point. There could be two different nations. Now, within these nations, Judah has to be in charge. The scepter can, once he gets the authority in the time of David, he has to be in charge. However, there could have been a separate nation under this nation, and they could have been united as two nations. So, sometimes we think that we all have to unite under one flag as if we're all going to be one. We'll be one, the power of one. We'll be one nation under God. Ramban is suggesting something else. That so radical are the divisions within Israel that you have 12 different tribes. This one's good at commerce, this one's good at leadership, this one's good at agriculture. Those are the three basic categories, as Tamir Gernot points out, in the different blessings. Those are the three basic blessings. Some have all three, some have one or the other. Each tribe has its own nature. As the Gemara says, sometimes people feel like going into the coast all the time. They want to go to the beach, they want to go boating. They must be from Zebulun. That's a Zebulun kind of thing. Each tribe is very, very different. And when we say that they all united around the bed of Jacob, we don't mean that they were one nation under God. No. The Jewish nation, or perhaps 12 nations, or at least according to Ramban, at least two nations. Families can be different. There can be differences. As we try as a Jewish people today in Taf Shin Pei Daled in 5784, as we try to be one nation and get back together, and there's been all this unity since October 7th. We have to remember, we're not striving to be one, that everyone has to be the same. No, some people are better at business, some people are better at the army, some people are better with a religion, some people are better at the Talmud, some people are better at Tanakh, some people are better at archaeology, some people are better with economics, some people keep the country going. There's all kinds of different roles that people can play. We are 12 different nations, but there are 12 lands of Israel. As we said in another teaching, we mentioned that Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai says that there are 12 different areas. The word Eretz is mentioned 12 times because there are 12 different countries. Geographically, it reflects the personality differences of the 12 tribes. There are 12 different geographic areas. We have snowy areas in the Hermon. We have the lowest point in earth. It's so hot. We have Eilat. We have Jerusalem, where it snows and it's chilly. We have Tel Aviv, where it's always temperate. We have places with palm trees. We have places with snow. It is demographically and geographically completely different nations. And you can still have unity, even with different nations. 12 different nations, 2 different nations. It can be 12 nations under God with one king, King David. God is our ultimate king. It can be 2 nations, as Ramban would have it, the Rachel families and the Judah families, the Leah families. But there can still be unity within division, unity within difference. That should be our goal, not to be one, but to be two and to still be one. Thank you for joining us here at the Baron Hirsch Congregation for our discussion of the Parsha and the holidays. Thanks to Jason Lefkowitz, our producer, and thanks to our sponsors, Joe, Jennifer, Roberts. Thank you.
This has been 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein.